Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from Novo Resources, traded on the TSX under the symbol NVO and on the OTCQX under the symbol NSRPF. I am chatting with the executive co-chairman Mike Spreadborough. We're going to do a broad exploration update here because the company just back on August 14th released a news release that breaks down the exploration plans for the rest of this year at a handful of different projects. Mike and I will go through these one by one to give you all an update, and if you have any follow-up questions, as always, please email me and I'll get Mike to address those questions. So Mike, let's start off with the largest drill program within the company, and that is with your partner, De Grey Mining, at the Egina joint venture. Now, De Grey Mining is planning about 39,000 meters of air core, reverse circulation, and diamond drilling, all starting next month in September. Give us a bit of insights here on what De Grey is going after, what the key targets are, please.
Good to catch up, Cory. So if everyone recalls, we've done a joint venture and an investment with De Grey. So De Grey invested $10 million into Novo, but importantly, we cemented a joint venture with them where they need to spend $25 million Australian within 4 years, and through that they will gain 50% of the Besha project and the surrounding tenements. So that's a really exciting thing for Novo shareholders. It means someone else is putting money into the ground so we can focus elsewhere. But it also means at the end of the day, Novo shareholders will see upside because we're retaining 50% of the project. So I think that's exciting. So if people recall, Besha, we were drilling it from September last year up until about May. We'd completed 60,000 meters of air core, so that's surface sampling down to the hard rock. De Grey really liked the results that they were seeing. They saw similarities with their massive, 11 million ounce Hemi and Malina project, where the Besha project is alongside that. So all of those elements came together, that De Grey are excited about what they've seen. They like what the Novo exploration team have done. They're definitely looking for long-term opportunities for additional mill feed for their processing plant, which hopefully will be approved for development next year. So as part of the joint venture, they have taken over management, and it's really good that, they took over 1st of July. They've done a lot of work in, like we have done, to look forward in terms of drilling, and now in September they will recommence the drilling program that Novo was taking, and they've indicated to us that they'll complete over the next 12 months at least 40,000 meters of drilling. And that's really exciting. We look forward to the results coming from that program. We still think Besha is a fantastic project for both Novo shareholders, but De Grey will be able to bring a little bit of acceleration. They understand the area a little bit better than Novo, and they're really keen to firm up that area for additional resources for their large project. So all in all, a great win for everyone.
So since De Grey is leading this drill program, will you be able to release any drill results, or will we need to check with De Grey Mining in terms of how drilling is progressing and the results out of this program?
So just a little bit on the joint venture, there'll be quarterly joint venture meetings with De Grey. We've got a great relationship. The two teams are working together. And as that drilling program progresses, as results come in on a monthly basis or whatever frequency, we'll be releasing those to the market like we've done previously, and everyone will be up to speed. And now those results will be just as important for De Grey as they are for Novo. So we'll all see those drilling results come through.
All right, let's talk about some of the drilling that the company is going to do more controlled by yourself. You're planning about 6,000 meters of drilling at Nunnery North, Balla Balla, Bamboo-Strattons, all in the Pilbara, as well as 2,000 meters at Belltopper in Victoria. Let's start with Nunnery North. Take us through about 2,000 meters is planned here. What's the strategy? What are you planning at Nunnery North?
So Nunnery North is this really exciting project where our surface sampling and rock chips have identified about a 1.52 kilometre strike length of very high grades. If people look at the presentation, you'll see grades of 8 grams per tonne and even up to, an ounce. per tonne in some of the rock samples. So that's really exciting. We've now completed all the work that allows us to have access on an Aboriginal heritage basis. Starting next week, we'll complete the road access, and per the release that we put out last week, we're hoping we will do that tranche of drilling in September. Now, the number that we've released is our first pass drilling program. You know, that's there for us to really scout out that mineralisation or the gold that we're seeing at the surface. And if all is great, we'll get to see further drilling programs later in the year. So that first pass drilling program starting in September probably finishes up in kind of mid-November. We'll get all the results. We'll have a good look at it. And we're really optimistic. The results that we see on the surface are exciting. It's kind of a new area that people haven't been before. Whilst we have to build a track in there, it's only 30 kilometres off a main regional road in Western Australia. So we think it's a great location, and we are very, very excited about going drilling there.
So this seems like a fairly big target that you're going after with this first pass drilling. What's the spacing going to be in terms of the different drill holes?
Yeah, good question. So we'll probably drill spacings of around about 100 metres, trying to get continuity across the real high grade. So if people look at the picture in the presentation, you'll see there's a contour map of the grades that we've seen from the surface. We'll hone in on the better portions up front and try to build a picture out there. So again, people should start to see some results from October from that program. Very exciting for us. It's, you know, brand new. No one's done any drilling in that area, so it's one to get really excited about.
So what's going to be the move then from Nunnery North to Balla Balla or Bamboo-Strattons, both of those projects?
So these programs, not necessarily sequential. It really depends on timing. So Balla Balla is an exciting project for us. We have about 100 kilometres of tenure that run along the coast in the Pilbara. And the reason we like it is we see the same shear type zones and structures that the Malina Basin had. And that basin obviously has brought forwards the Hemi project of millions of ounces. So it's early days. Our team at the moment is very busy mapping and soil sampling and those good things. That will lead them up to targeting. We'll complete the work with the Aboriginal people to allow us to go drilling. And I would hope in Q4 this year we'll do the first pass of reconnaissance scout drilling. So once that's ready, we'll just go and drill. And likewise at Bamboos Creek, which in that area, there was an old mine that had about, 500,000 ounce production. So we like the intrusions that we've seen from our surface mapping. We now, again, need to work through Aboriginal heritage approval issues, but we hope to go drilling in Q4 and drill those intrusions that we're seeing at the surface and see what the potential is. So the Pilbara is quite exciting for us between now and the end of the year. If Nunnery is successful, we'll continue drilling, but there's over 6,000 metres of drilling that we'll do in the Pilbara. So we're really excited about that work program going forwards.
Now, are these all gold targets, all near surface gold targets that you're at least initially focusing on?
Yes, definitely. We're definitely 100% focused on gold, and most of these targets have very little cover or some cover, and they are near surface targets that we're looking at, and hopefully they build into bigger systems, but early days for all of these projects.
All right, let's move on to Belltopper then. In Victoria, about 2,000 meters is planned here. What's the strategy? Take us through Belltopper, please.
So Belltopper is our kind of new name for what was the Queens and Malmesbury project. We now have 100% of those projects where we had 50% before. To remind people, they're only 50 kilometres away from the massive Fosterville mine, which is very, very high grade, produces a lot of gold. The Novo team have done a fantastic job in the last 18 months using scout drilling, geophysics, surface sampling. They've been modelling the underground excavations that have been done by the old timers, and they've pulled together a really good picture and map of that whole Belltopper project. So the next real stage is to go and test the targets that we've generated from that work. So again, in a couple months, you will see Novo complete that diamond drilling program. Because of the style of mineralisation and the location, this is not a program where you do reverse circulation drilling, RC drilling. This will be straight up diamond that we've always done in that area. It's very exciting. This is the major project in that area for many, many, many years. Whilst we've done the odd hole over the last 18 months, this is definitely more exciting given it's a targeted program really focusing on where we hope to see intersections of structures and rock units looking for gold traps.
So how many targets are going to be tested on Belltopper?
Yeah, so all up, there's probably 3 to 4 zones that we will focus over this drilling program. And again, if it's successful, that'll allow us to really optimise the program going into 2024. So really exciting given that no one's done this work before. It's an absolute credit to our exploration team how they've built this up into such a great project and target for us.
Okay, well, we'll follow up when some of these results start to come out, but hey, these drill programs will be starting up next month. Let's also talk about that Nullagine Gold project, because within that news release, you announced that you have appointed Argonaut, PCF, as financial advisors to undertake a strategic review. Does that mean you're looking to sell this asset?
So given where Novo is at the moment, our balance sheet, our real focus on exploration, we think going forwards, exploration is the real focus for us. So Nullagine Gold project, where there is a small resource, but we don't think the resource really suits Novo's strategy going forwards. It's now a very difficult project, and we just don't think there's a good strategic fit into what Novo is now. So through the advisors that we've appointed, Argonaut, PCF, we'll be out there looking for interest from other parties and other miners in Western Australia and Australia who may see that the Nullagine project and the Beatons Creek project has a better strategic fit. Our team have done a great job looking at exploration potential, and there definitely is long-term potential in that area, but it is long-term, so it really just doesn't fit within Novo's strategy at the moment. So that process is now underway, and we'll keep everyone up to date as that process moves forwards. It's a good asset. There's a great processing plant. There's all approvals for mining and for the Millennium Ground. There's a small resource at Beatons Creek, offices, camp, all of those good things. So we are hopeful that there will be someone who thinks that the project fits their portfolio a little bit better than what it does for Novo.
All right, let's talk about cash in the bank too, but also tied in with this new ASX listing that the company is undertaking. You are in an IPO offer period, which is open. Looks like the company is planning to raise about $4 million Australian with the option of upsizing that for another $3.5 million. Take us through the strategy of listing on the ASX and why you are raising this initial $4 million Australian dollars.
Yeah, so, 12 months ago, we really recognised that given where Novo was, our exploration in the Pilbara and also in Victoria, given our distance from North American markets, we were getting a lot of interest from Australians who would like to be part of our journey. However, Australian investors and particularly Australian institutional funds don't particularly have a fascination for TSX listed companies. So we made the decision that at the right time we should dual list in Australia. It would allow new shareholders to come in, maybe particularly some more strategic shareholders, funds or other companies, and that would give us a better breadth. And existing shareholders would be rewarded by that breadth and hopefully better liquidity and better recognition of value for Novo. The second stage of that is we really needed a good cornerstone investor to help that story along, and definitely the work we did to Gray was the trigger that allowed us to have that cornerstone investor. So they brought $10 million into the balance sheet, which was good. So that allowed us to trigger the listing. So all the documentation's been done. We've opened the IPO raising process. So we're not raising a lot of money, 4 to 7.5 million Australian. That will allow new investors to come on and allow us to start trading on the ASX. And we're hoping to see more liquidity, which will generate better shareholder interest and shareholder value across the platform. Per our announcements if all goes well, we should be trading no later than the 14th of September on the ASX. And I really look forward not only to the new shareholders coming on board, but also the opportunity it brings for existing shareholders. So it's not a big amount of money we're raising, 7.5 million Australian, but it'll be sufficient to bring on board new shareholders. I think by memory, it's 7.5 million at 20 cents, so it's about 35 million shares, which is not a very large amount of shares compared to our current share base of around 250 million. So it's an exciting next step for Novo, and I think it will really generate great interest. And we've already seen in Australia that a lot of people are very interested in our IPO process and the assets that we have.
So how much cash does the company have right now? Because I was under the impression that you are well cashed up for at least this current program.
At the moment, we have around about 25 million Canadian. If people read some of the footnotes, you'll see that we do actually owe the Western Australian government about 7 million Australian, which we have to pay off. So let's call it, at the moment, we've got about 20 million Australian in the bank. With the listing, we'll probably end up with about 28, 30 million Australian. So that will give us funding that we need to execute our exploration program going forwards for the next 12 months, plus or minus what success comes out and how we move forward. So we are in a good position going forwards. That's good for shareholders. Success will always bring more opportunities for us. And if Nunnery is very good, we'll definitely need to look at other avenues for funding. But at the moment, we're for a gold explorer, and as many of us know, the gold exploring investment community is very tough, and we've got a huge exploration program that you've just heard about. Novo is in a fantastic position to execute that program, great assets, and we're well funded. So all up, we're in a very good position.
What is the budget just for this year's program, the remainder of this year?
The remainder of this year is somewhere around about $8 million all up for exploration and corporate costs.
Okay. Well, Mike, I think that brings us all up to speed. I'll post a link to the Novo website and the section that breaks down all the recent news. And, well, I'll bring you back on as we get some more news out of the company, especially when some of the drilling starts and when some of those drill results come out. So if anybody has any follow-up questions for Mike or the team over at Novo, please email me. I'll get those addressed for you. And as I said, I will follow up as more news hits. Mike, thank you very much for the update. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Cory. Appreciate it.